Welcome back to the Unlock Your Potential podcast. I'm Matt Foppel, founder of Foppel X, and this is where we get real about leadership, systems, and execution in commercial real estate. If you're a property manager or CRE professional who wants to lead with precision, scale your impact, and raise the standard, you're in the right place. Today I want to talk to you about something that might look just like a fun Halloween event on the surface, but underneath it's actually a strategic opportunity that hits multiple CRE priorities at once. Tenant retention, property branding, and community building. I'm talking about a successful, well-organized trunk or treat event. And if done right, this is one of the easiest wins you can score this fall on your property. Now, let's zoom out for a second. In the world where companies are rethinking their office footprints, hybrid work is still shaping demand, tenant experience has become the edge between different properties. That's why events like trunk or treats matter. Trunk or treat isn't just a seasonal fluff event. It's an opportunity to reinforce loyalty with your tenants, make your building feel personal, and give families a reason to love the space where their mom or dad works. You're creating memories, you're building goodwill, and in many cases, you're doing it with minimal spend. So let's break down what a successful trunk or treat could look like. Now, before you get too deep into the candy bin, you need to ask yourself a couple questions. Is this event for tenants only? Is it open to the public? What's the goal? Is it retention, visibility, branding for the property? Have you talked to ownership? A quick one-page proposal with the goals, budget, safety plan. These are things that it's important to bring up to ownership to show that it's community programming, not just a party that's going to be happening. And there's lots of ways to be creative with planning trunk or treats. For example, a tip is you can keep the budget pretty lean by getting tenants, vendors, neighboring properties to sponsor trunks. You provide the space and the structure, and they bring the fun and participation. Now, what you need to think about if being the property manager is the leadership that really needs to kick in. So first, you need to consider what is the ideal location at your property. A surface lot or a closed off level of the parking garage? Is there accessibility, clear sight lines, good lighting, emergency access? There's a lot of things to be mindful of with trunk or treat, especially with safety. One of the things you want to be mindful of is have a game plan well ahead of the event. So things like, when are you closing the lot to vehicles before the event starts? Are you using cones, barriers? How are you defining the attendee space versus the participant space? Are you going to have first aid kits, fire extinguisher, someone from your team that's CPR certified, local police department, fire department participating as well? How are the staff that's working the event going to communicate? Does everyone have Teams on their phone? Are you using radios or walkie-talkies? Is there an emergency contact list for not only the people running the event, but also for the participants? Are you going to have an engineer or security on site throughout the event, or just when it gets started? And also considerations with who all is going to be in attendance. If you're bringing in food trucks or third-party vendors, you want to make sure you have their contracts and COIs completed well ahead of time. That's a small step that protects everyone and something easy to knock out before the day of the event. Now, as you're looking at the calendar, October is just a couple months away. So 3 to 4 weeks before the event, you need to start planning this event, start sending out communications for your tenants, for those participating, for those that need to be aware of the event. Start sharing things like the event map, the event timeline, family-friendly decor guidelines, a reminder for allergy-safe information for the candy, and optional things about prizes, best trunk, most creative costume, how that process is going to work. One of the things you could consider if you have the budget is offering gift cards or free lunch to the top 3 trunks. These are small things of recognition that could drive big engagement when you're looking at the event as a whole. A couple other ideas to think about that could take the event from good to great are a mini costume parade with Halloween music, pumpkin painting, craft tables. You could do a cider or a hot chocolate station with your food provider that's on site, or bring in a vendor to do that. You could have your PA system playing the family-friendly, appropriate Halloween music. You could do a photo booth or a roaming photographer to make sure you're getting photos from the event. The thing to remember is you don't need an entire circus to have a fun trunk or treat. You just need thoughtful touches that make families smile as they're participating. Timing is everything with event planning, though. So some things to remember: 4 weeks out, make sure you're sharing save the dates and a sign-up form to get those participants going. Trunk or treat is not a lot of fun when there's no trunks for the participants to go to. 2 weeks out, you want to highlight the event, maybe a preview, some photos if you've hosted this before, and reminders and considerations that those attending should keep in mind. And then a day or two out, to continue to build that hype, build that reminder, again, share that map, share the safety information, share the weather forecast, and that will set everyone up for success that's been looking forward to the event. Now, the day of, you want to use signs. Hopefully they're branded to encourage folks where to park, where to check in at, where elevators, restrooms are, things like that. You want to have any staff that has authority at the event having some sort of shirt or vest so that they're easily visible. You want to have some sort of check-in table for participants. So if they do have questions or they have to leave early, there is an opportunity for them to communicate those types of things. And then a best practice is to always keep extra candy on hand. If someone shows up that has a trunk that they run out, or someone last minute someone else has to participate because you don't have enough trunks, having some extra candy on hand can be very helpful. And again, don't forget the photos. Designate someone on your team or volunteer to capture the event. These photos are gold for ownership and to recap the event on social channels, building information, newsletters, things like that. Take time to grab some photos of the event. It's really cool to share those types of things and have a record for next year's planning. After the event, there's some things to consider to really set you up for success for the following year's event. Take time to send thank yous and emails to participants. Share a few of the photos when you're sending those thank yous. Announce any of the contest winners if you didn't do that at the event. And send your ownership and other liaisons a one-pager, just how many people participated, so some photos of the event, and any feedbacks or quotes you heard from the event from those that attended. This is an opportunity to show the ROI on the event, and not that it was just a party, that you're building a community there on site. The reason these types of events matter is that tenants don't always get to notice an upgraded fire panel or something going on behind the scenes, but what they do remember is bringing their kids to trunk or treat at their office. That moment, that experience, it builds affinity. It translates into higher retention, better buzz about the property, and a stronger internal culture that's hard to compete with. You're not just managing the square footage of a building. You're creating stories that people will share regardless of how long they're there. So this fall, don't just think in terms of seasonal tasks. Think in terms of seasonal opportunity. A well-run trunk or treat gives your property a moment that can strengthen relationships, delight tenants, and make ownership proud of you managing that asset. If this episode added value, please consider sharing with someone in your network that's in commercial real estate, planning a trunk or treat, or considering other types of tenant events on their site. Feel free to subscribe to Unlock Your Potential on LinkedIn. We are sharing tons of information, and there's also an article about this very topic that's going to be coming out soon. Commercial real estate is an ever-evolving industry that's changing so fast. And the real question isn't whether change is coming, it's whether you're going to be leading it or reacting to it. So tips like these, I think, are extremely important for setting you and everyone up for success. If you have other topics you'd like us to cover, please let me know. Please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Until then, keep going.